The not pouring it on syndrome.
Yeah, this is one of those things that's strange. I mean, I think when you have all your timeouts, you either get into a hurry up or you start to use your timeouts. Maybe because he got stopped on that first down run, he doesn't want to give the ball back to the Eagles.
2nd and 11. Hasselbeck's going to go deep into traffic, and that's caught as DJ Hackett adjusts with double coverage and comes back and makes the catch. At the 3-yard line, it'll be 1st down and goal and a timeout after a 42-yard pass reception.
Yeah, DJ Hackett is a 3rd wide receiver. He does a good job here. He keeps his hands down. You see, most defenders will look and read when you put your hands up. He kept his hands down, maybe got a little push off, and Matt Hasselbeck just gets the ball up over the defender's outside shoulder.
Hackett 6'2", 199.
Right, and he had the size advantage over Sheldon Brown there, but I like the way he kept his hands down and just waited until the ball got there, and then maybe by keeping his hands down, he was able to get a little push off on Sheldon Brown.
Keep in mind, too, Seattle playing without Darrell Jackson, who's been a great receiver for them over the past few years. He underwent knee surgery earlier. They hope to have him back perhaps next week when they meet the 49ers in Seattle. On 1st down and goal now, Alexander with a flag. So Alexander seeking that 22nd touchdown in this, their 12th game of the season. Scott Green.
Defense. Nose tackle. Lining up in the neutral zone. Half the distance to the goal. 1st down.
When you expect Seattle to run left here, I mean, that they ran right on that one on 1st down. I think if you're going to go play action pass, this is a good down to do it. If you're not, if you're going to just pound it in there, then just give it to Sean Alexander right in here behind these 2 guys, and that's not bad running.
I would guess that's going to be the play. Well, they're going to send him on a sweep instead to the outside of the goal. Can he turn the corner? Yes, he can. Touchdown, Alexander. His 2nd of the night, his 22nd of the season, and with 29 seconds remaining in the 1st half, it is 34-0. Max Strong also helping to lead the charge, the fullback.
Max Strong in the left guard, number 76. You see Steve Hutchinson pull there, turn up right there, make the block, cut Simino off, and that's what lets Sean Alexander get to the outside.
Josh Brown for his 5th extra point.
Do we have the start of a route here?
I think we had it after the 1st drive.
Oh, we're in the middle of a route.
Reset the play clock.
But you just know when they get down there that they're going to run the ball to Sean Alexander, and they're going to run it to the left.
So Alexander seeking the rushing title this year, seeking a new NFL touchdown record.
With 29 seconds to play in the 1st half, the route is on. The snow flying in Philadelphia, and the Eagles just getting pounded by the 9-2 Seahawks, who've made it now 35-0. And we haven't even reached halftime in Philadelphia yet. This is Monday Night Football on ESPN. We'll get you back to Lincoln Financial Field.
Kenny Keith Jackson would think of our colleague Keith. I'll never forget when Keith Jackson, the player, is playing at Oklahoma, and Keith Jackson does him for the 1st time. And Keith Jackson was a fine player in college. And he's announcing Keith Jackson scoring a touchdown. He's rumbling to the end zone. Touchdown, Keith Jackson. No relation. Well, KJ and Dan Fouts will have some beauty on the 4th night of January. SC in Texas. Whew.
Which one of the Keith Jacksons was the other Keith Jackson?
That's a good question. Well, the player Keith Jackson was the other Keith Jackson. And then I think they were both about as well known as 2 people in football can be.
So maybe there was no other Keith Jackson. But this Keith Jackson was a great player too, and and he was one of those guys, a lot like Reggie White. Not all players are good guys off the field, and one doesn't make for the other. But Reggie, off the field was the greatest guy as he was a player on the field, and Keith Jackson was a lot that way too.
Here's Dexter Wynn. One of them, Keith Jackson. No, we were talking about possum hunting moons, John, about a month ago. We were wondering what it was. So Keith Jackson, our Keith Jackson, tells Malibu Kelly Hayes, well, it's a moon, but it's a waxing moon. So when that's the possum hunting moon. So I called Dan Fauci. I said, wait a second, why can't it be a waning moon? Because the waning moon is kind of the mirror of a waxing moon. And Fauci said it's because all the possum were dead by then.
The last full moon we had, I think, was a frosty moon, wasn't it?
It was a frosty moon. And if you're tuning in and wondering what in the world we're talking about, just take a look at the score. And that is caught up at the 39-yard line. And then it's not. It's incomplete with 16 seconds. Intended for L.J. Smith.
Sometimes when things just start to run away, there's nothing you can do about getting them back. And I know you say, what would you do as a coach? If you're Andy Reid, what do you say at halftime? And the only thing you can do is say, let's play it like 0-0. And I think both sides will do that. But when you're down 35-0, I don't know how much they listen to that stuff.
They'll end it with a Westbrook 1, and that's about as miserable as it can get for a home crowd. Snowing, 32 degrees, 5 and 6. Used to tremendous success. 35-0 Seattle at the half. Coming up next, Alexis halftime show when we come back after this message from the National Football League. Word from our ABC stations.
There are various set running plays that will be used throughout a game. Here are some of the more common ones. The pitch is when the quarterback pitches the ball to a player, usually running parallel to the line of scrimmage. The counter is when the quarterback drops back and fakes the handoff to a back running in one direction, but then turns and hands off to a back running in the opposite direction. The reverse looks similar to the counter. However, the quarterback actually hands the ball off to the first back, who then hands the ball off to a wide receiver, running in the opposite direction. The draw is when the quarterback drops back as if to pass, but instead hands the ball off to the back, who then takes advantage of a defense that is defending the pass. The sweep is when the quarterback hands off the ball to a back who is in motion and running around his lineman, relying especially on his tackle to contain the end of the line, allowing him to beat the defense to the corner.
ESPN Sport Legends presents Mark Spitz. In 1972 at the Olympic Games in Munich, American swimmer Mark Spitz aimed to accomplish the improbable.
He predicted that he was going to win 6 gold medals, and he wasn't the only one predicting that. I mean, an awful lot of people thought he was going to win 6 gold medals.
I think he made it very clear to everybody when he showed up that he fully intended to win.
Steadily, Spitz began to make good on his prediction. With each gold medal won, the anticipation grew greater. After clinching his 6th gold medal, one race remained for him, the medley relay.
The only time I remember winning and getting a medal was in the last event, the medley relay. And primarily when we were walking around after the event and the medal presentation, where my teammates picked me up and put me on their shoulder.
NFL injury news. Browns rookie wide receiver Braylon Edwards will miss the rest of the season with a knee injury. Yet another setback for one of Cleveland's first-round draft picks. Edwards, the number 3 overall selection in the draft, tore the anterior cruciate ligament in his right knee while trying to make a leaping catch in the 4th quarter of Sunday's loss to the Jaguars. Edwards' knee buckled awkwardly to the inside after he landed stiff-legged on the incompletion. Edwards had caught 2 touchdown passes from fellow rookie Charlie Fry. Edwards finishes the season with 32 catches for 512 yards. Brett Favre suffered a cut in his right hand. His right forearm was bruised, and he felt overall kind of beat up after Sunday's 19-7 loss to Chicago. The Packers are 2-10, play Detroit at Lambeau Field on Sunday. The banged-up quarterback who has thrown an NFL-leading 21 interceptions on a team that is suffering its first losing season in years. But Coach Sherman has no plans to sit Favre anytime soon. Asked whether it was time to give rookie Aaron Rodgers, the #1 pick from California, a chance, he said not just yet. Major League Baseball, the Florida Marlins today announced they've acquired 2 players to be named later from the New York Mets in exchange for catcher Paul LaDuca. Published reports say that the pitching prospect Gabby Hernandez is one of the minor leaguers. LaDuca, 33, batted .283 with 6 home runs and 57 runs batted in 132 games last season with the Marlins. The 3-time All-Star catcher threw out 21% of the attempted runners. A total of 177 major leaguers have agreed to participate in the inaugural World Baseball Classic. That announced by World Baseball Classic Inc. today. The list of players features a leading player in the game, Barry Bonds, John Smoltz, Albert Pujols, Manny Ramirez. Federations competing in the World Baseball Classic must submit preliminary rosters by January 17th of 2006. Additional players agreeing to participate will be announced as they are confirmed. The games will be from March 3rd to 20th at sites throughout the United States, as well as Tokyo, Japan, and San Juan, Puerto Rico. Check your local listings for your next edition of SportsCenter. When we come back, more of the NFL Halftime Report on Monday Night Football.
The PGA Tour presents the Franklin Templeton Shootout. Tiburon Golf Club in Naples, Florida hosted the event for the 5th consecutive year. Heading into the final round of the partner tournament, Kenny Perry and John Houston found themselves trailing the leaders by 2 strokes. They opened the event with a 64 in the modified alternate shot format and a 63 in the best ball round. But on Sunday, they scrambled their way to a 13 under 59 and a 2-stroke victory.
Kenny Perry and John Houston have won the 2005 Franklin Templeton Shootout.
It was the first win for both Perry and Houston at Greg Norman's yearly tournament. Congratulations, Kenny Perry and John Houston, the 2005 Franklin Templeton Shootout champions.
It's over the Eagles after just 2 quarters of play. 1 week from tonight, Monday Night Football returns to ESPN. The New Orleans Saints will be taking on Michael Vick and the Atlanta Falcons. Check the time in your area of the world for another fine Monday night matchup. Well, this one isn't working out the way the people in Philly hoped it would. The Eagles overmatched, outmanned, and down 35 heading for the start of the second half.
Relive another great moment on ESPN. Could he do it again? Would Adam Vinatieri hit another last-second field goal to nail down another Super Bowl victory for the New England Patriots?
And Vinatieri's kick down the middle. The kick is good.
And the New England Patriots were Super Bowl champions for the 2nd time in 3 years. A celebration of sports memories from around the globe. Great moments on ESPN.
First possession of the game, Matt Hasselbeck. Look at the time he has here. Sure, he's flushed to the right, but got about 7 seconds to throw before finding Bobby Ingram for his first touchdown grab of the year from 11 yards out. It was 7-0 Seattle. Then with Philly moving the football, Mike McMahon picked off by Andre Dyson on the dead run. And off he goes 72 yards for a 14-0 Seattle lead. That was the lead for the Seahawks heading into the second quarter. And in that second quarter, we'd see a little bit more of the same. Not quite as far out, but Mike McMahon picked again. This time Lofa Tatupu takes it back 38 yards for the score, and it's 21-0 Seattle. Could it happen a 3rd time? Coy Detmer replacing Mike McMahon. This ball is deflected and intercepted by Michael Boulware. He's looking for the 3rd interception return for the touchdown of the game, but falls just short, but sets up a 1st and goal for Seattle. Didn't take Sean Alexander long. Touchdown number 21 on the season. It was 28-0 Seattle. Hasselbeck now to DJ Hackett. Look at this catch among two defenders. Takes it down for another first-and-goal situation. A couple of plays later. Hasselbeck, the pitch for Sean Alexander around left end. 35-0 Seattle. And 22 touchdowns on the season. That's just 5 short of tying Priest Holmes' single-season record. Let's look at our running back comparison here. You know, Alexander not having a huge day as far as yards and yards per carry. He's carried 19 times for only 49 yards. But those turnovers have set up pretty nicely as Alexander's got the 2 short touchdown runs. Brian Westbrook is finding the running a little bit tough going. 9 carries for 17 yards. He's also caught 5 balls for 38. We're coming back with the start of the second half of Monday Night Football on ESPN. Well, the Philadelphia Eagles have unveiled that beautiful tribute to Reggie White, who died in January 2nd of 2005 at age 43, very much unexpectedly. The Minister of Defense, the 2-time NFL Player of the Year in '87 and '98, 13 consecutive Pro Bowls. That was an NFL record. He did play with the Eagles from 1985 through '92 before playing with Green Bay from '93 to '98, where he did pick up a Super Bowl championship. The '96 season as the Packers beat New England. Reggie White being honored today at Lincoln Financial Field, where many of these fans had watched him play for so many years. A 15-year NFL career from '85 through '98. Retired in '99, and then came back for one more season with the Carolina Panthers in 2003. When he retired, he had 198 career sacks. That was #1 in NFL history. Bruce Smith has since surpassed that mark. Let's look at the statistics from the first half. Obviously, the points have been dominated by the Seahawks, and 2-1 margin on first downs. But as far as total yards is concerned, it's not a total whitewashing here, but the big numbers, that second to last one, those are the turnovers. Seattle hasn't turned it over at all. 3 interceptions thrown by Eagles quarterbacks, and they have all been turned into points. Get ready for the start of the second half out in Philadelphia. Let's rejoin Monday Night Football.
I think we can count on that, John.
Yeah, we can. And you know, when you look at great players and who's the best, I think Reggie White was the best and most dominant defensive lineman that ever played. And I mean, he could play the run, he could rush the passer, he could do everything that a player had to do, and then off the field he was very inspirational to everyone.
Had to account for him on every play as the second-hand kickoff is taken by Dexter Wynn. And Wynn gets flung out of bounds up at the 28-yard line. The Eagles, a franchise that began in 1933. Take a look at that, largest halftime deficit. You have to go back to 62 against Green Bay, and that at Dallas, 35 points down at the half and 69. And then tonight,
and I'm not sure if we're seeing a really good Seattle Seahawk team or a really bad Philadelphia Eagle team.
Which is an interesting point, as Moats coughs up the ball. And will they get another return for a touchdown? Indeed they will. Andre Dyson is going to score his second touchdown of the night. One on an interception return, this on a fumble return. The rookie Moats losing the football, and Dyson goes into the end zone.
You're going to see Moats is in a single back here, and he just goes to make the cutback, and Leroy Hill gets in there and makes the hit and just knocks the ball out of there. I mean, there was no play. Leroy Hill gets penetration right there. And as he goes to make the tackle, he takes his left hand and strips it right out of Ryan Motz's hands. But that, you know, as a back, when you see that and the guy gets penetration, you just have to put both arms around it and just go down.
25-yard return. The extra point is good. That's 6. And again, Dyson, who had shortness of breath after the interception return, this time he comes hobbling off the field. So for Dyson, a tough physical night, but what a monster night when any defender can score 2 touchdowns, as he has done tonight. But this is a different matter here.
Yeah, he picked the ball up. I mean, the guy who really made that play was Leroy Hill.
So they'll work on Dyson. 3 returns for touchdowns. Of course, the numbers going the whole thing. 2 of those returned for touchdowns. So there's not that much disparity in the numbers, but it's simply a matter of, you know, Seattle just cashing in on any Philadelphia mistake, and Philadelphia unable to mount anything.
You know, you look at stats in any game, and the biggest one, and the one that kills you the most, is turnovers. I mean, you can have, you know, yards per carry, you know, yards per throw, and all those things, and they're all good and important, but the most important stat is turnover ratio.
Josh Brown is at a busy night, kicking off and kicking extra points. When you kick off a lot, you know you've had a happy night. Reno Mahe. Taken down by Dexter Wynn. Wynn who runs it back. Wynn gets taken down up at the 24-yard line, and Coy Detmer will start the second half after Mike McMahon was very ineffective. 4 out of 10 for 61 yards in his time in there. 42-0.
Yeah, 21 for the defense, 21 for the offense.
Now, John, you talked about you don't know if Seattle's that good, Philly's that bad. Mike Holland telling us last night, he said, you know, I don't know quite how good we are despite a 9-2 record. Ryan Moats picks up 9. But the one thing we do know, John, they lost a lot of very agonizing, excruciating games in the last couple of years, including that one in the playoffs to St. Louis. And this year they're winning those games.
Yeah, and I think you know he feels that the defense is different. That the defense just hangs in there and plays for 60 minutes. He felt that, you know, a year ago maybe the defense would let up towards the end of the game, and he said these guys, there's no let up in this group. They may not be the most talented, but they're not going to let up.
First down. They won a game that they pulled out of a hat against Dallas with an interception at the end, and out of nowhere they beat the Cowboys in Seattle. They staved off a 2-point conversion at San Francisco a couple of weeks back to win that game. And then Feely last week missing those 3 field goals in Seattle. That's the kind of game that they would have lost in the past.
Right, but they just hang in there, and then you know make the plays when you have to.
From the 34 on 1st and 10. Pressure, near sack, gets it away. And that one is intended for Brown and incomplete. Mark Emanuel came in and put the heat on that time.
Yeah, and that was from his backside, and Coy Detmer didn't even see that, and Manuel had a free shot at him, and he went over the top. You know, that's the thing. You always want to make sure, and you never want to go that high in the guy where he can duck under you.
Seattle has already clinched the West, so they will go to the playoffs. They are guaranteed a home game now, and what they're trying to do is avoid the wild card round and be the #1 seed. Just play at home in the second week of the playoffs. Denton under pressure again.
You know, in the Giants, you talk about missing the kicks back there, and in Seattle, that's a tough place to play too. You know, it's not a dome, but it's very loud. I mean, it could be one of the loudest stadiums in football, and you know, you talk about, you know, if they get that home field advantage throughout, that can be a very, very difficult place to play.
There's the wild card race right now. Tampa would be the 5 seed, then Dallas, Atlanta, and Minnesota are all 7-5, and you've got Washington. And of all things, Dyson will get a cart ride back to the locker room after scoring 2 touchdowns. Pressure again, and another sack. Bryce Fisher will get that sack, and the update on Dyson now from Sam.
Yeah, he has a left ankle sprain. His return is doubtful. Allie does have those 2 touchdowns on the game, but that may be it for Andre Dyson with a left ankle sprain.
Pretty good night's work. And there was the sprain right there as he gets taken down by the shirt crossing the goal line. Sean Landetta. Caught at the 32 and run back by Jimmy Williams to the 40. The Seattle Seahawks. 12:40 left in the third, and they know they're going to have a very happy plane ride home. 42-zip.
Some say that by 2020, we'll have used up half the world's oil. Some say we already have. Making the other half last longer will take innovation, conservation, and collaboration. Will you join us?
The road to the ultimate prize of European football continues with Match Day 6 of the UEFA Champions League on ESPN. Live Tuesday, it's an all-England battle when Chelsea takes on the defending champions Liverpool. Rugged Scottish power Rangers take on Serie A club Inter Milan. It's action from every corner of Europe as the games continue. Match Day 6 of the UEFA Champions League on ESPN.
Telecast is copyrighted by the NFL for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
Well, what Mike Holmgren's saying to Sean Alexander here is probably you're done for the night. The game is in hand. We have a long way to go. I need your man down the stretch. We're not going to take any chances. We got Maurice Morris in there. And John, who would have ever thought? I mean, with Alexander, and again, now you're thinking about individual situations. He has a chance of the rushing touchdown record. He's a chance to lead the league in rushing, which was a source of a lot of controversy last year when he didn't win it. But, you know, if you're Mike Holmgren, you'd have to take him out of the game here.
Yeah, you have to, and these would be very easy yards for Sean Alexander. But at some point, you have to give that up. I mean, he's healthy. He's been healthy all year. He was healthy coming into this game, and if you can get him out of Philadelphia being healthy, that's a good thing.
Morris again in the backfield. Taken down. Last year, Alexander was very upset because Curtis Martin won the rushing title by a yard, and he felt he could have had a carry to get him that title, and then he had a contract situation as well, and Westbrook is going to go back to the locker room. They put the franchise tag on Alexander. They promise they won't do it again next year. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but the feeling seems to be that they will be able to sign him to a long-term deal in Seattle. And he was telling us last night he'd like to remain a Seahawk if possible.
You know, it was interesting what he did when they franchised him. Of course, that's a one-year contract. Then he went and got insurance. And the combination of the two worked pretty well.
Max Strong. And when you're franchised, you get the average of the top 5 running backs in the league. If you're a free agent, and again, we talked about it last week with Edgerrin James in Indianapolis, the Colts gave James the opportunity to make a deal for himself, but he couldn't in terms of, you know, getting the contract that he wanted at this particular point. I wonder if Alexander might not be in that same position as Reno Mahe.
I'll tell you what, I bet you if you give him a do-over on Edgerrin James, there'd be some takers now.
Yep. Right now, those guys are 1-2 in rushing. Alexander 1, James 2. 10:40 left in the third. 42-zip.
When a boxer prepares, he's only thinking of success. He's only thinking of destruction. But to conquer, he must obliterate the hopes of his opponent and be the only man standing. Fight Night, only on ESPN.
The PGA Tour presents the Franklin Templeton Shootout. Tiburon Golf Club in Naples, Florida hosted the event for the 5th consecutive year. Heading into the final round of the partner tournament, Kenny Perry and John Houston found themselves trailing the leaders by 2 strokes. They opened the event with a 64 in the modified alternate shot format and a 63 in the best ball round. But on Sunday, they scrambled their way to a 13 under 59 and a 2-stroke victory.
Kenny Perry and John Houston have won the 2005 Franklin Templeton Shootout.
It was the first win for both Perry and Houston at Greg Norman's yearly tournament. Congratulations, Kenny Perry and John Houston, the 2005 Franklin Templeton Shootout champions.
A reminder to tune in to the next edition of NFL Seminole this coming Thursday. Check the time in your area of the world to get the latest news on the NFL from Raul Alegre and Alvaro Martin as we take our ESPN viewers around the NFL. For now, we're going to send you back to Philadelphia, where the Eagles are having all kinds of trouble at home against the surging Seahawks from Seattle.
Looks like one of those glass things that you pick up and you turn it upside down and then it goes.
It's that kind of snow. Reno Mahe. Tackled by Hill, Holmgren, and Reed. We talked about him, and we've got a clip from when they were together at Green Bay. Mike is the head coach, and Andy is the assistant.
What happened on the screen? Why'd we run that?
That's me.
Why?
That's me.
Why is it you?
That's me. I sent in the wrong thing.
The formation?
We're right up short. I sent it in.
Well, get to the first 15. Let's go.
And then look at Brett Favre. Look at that impish smile.
Yeah, he knew that Andy was taking one for him.
Yes, he was. And you know what? You could smile about that because if you notice on the graphic, it's August. So that was a preseason game.
Right, and Andy used to do that, you know.
False start. Number 69, offense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
John Runyon.
Now, sometimes Brett Favre would just drive Mike Holmgren crazy with things he did, and Andy was a quarterback coach, and he was kind of the buffer between Brett Favre and Mike Holmgren. That's Brett Favre. Mike's all serious. Andy's spoofing and Brett's laughing.
Reno Mahe up to the 24-yard line, and we were talking about Holmgren and the guys he has spawned. It's pneumonia in waiting, and of course Mike goes back, and Mike comes from that Bill Walsh tree. San Francisco. 3rd and 10. Over the middle, a catch made here by L.J. Smith after the 44 and a 1st down. Head coach connection right there. Ray Rhodes, Steve Mariucci, John Gruden, Andy Reid, Dick Duran, Mike Sherman, who went with Mike Holmgren to Seattle and took over in Green Bay, and Marty Mornhinweg, who was the head coach at Detroit, now is the assistant head coach here under Andy Reid. 44-yard line.
You know, it was interesting you say that, you know, the Bill Walsh tree, and it kind of started with Bill and the West Coast offense and Holmgren, and, you know, and they took it different places, and Mike Shanahan, you know, took it, they all went in different directions. And I was talking to Bill Walsh today, and you know the guy that he's impressed with and the offense that he's impressed with right now? Tom Moore.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's what.
In fact, he was asking me how old Tom Moore is, because he was saying there's a guy that ought to be a head coach. I mean, the things that he's doing and what the Colts are doing, Bill Walsh says is the most impressive offense he's seen in a long time.
Well, we know that Tom Moore is 68 because we wished him a happy birthday on the air when we had Indianapolis a few weeks ago. But, you know, Tom, you know, it's an amazing thing. A guy like Tom Moore, not one of the, you know, really well-known assistants, but I mean, he's been there since Manning has been there, and of course now he's the offensive coordinator of an undefeated team. And you're right, you don't think about a guy like that.
And the things that he's doing, you know, like Bill Walsh said, if there was a job open where, you know, they had a pretty good offense and they needed a system, he could very well be that guy.
Dropped along the sideline by McMullen. I don't want to give away any secrets, but you know, the book lists Tom as 67, but I know he told me 68 when I was going to wish him a happy birthday on the field that night. So
yeah, and he
whatever.
Probably is, but that's one of the things, you know, you say, you know, who's going to be the head coaches when these other coaches lose their jobs? And to me, the best coordinators are older guys. I mean, Tom Moore is one of the best. Jim Johnson here is one of the best. Monty Kiffin down in Tampa. But they're all older.
17-yard line. Jimmy Williams. Back up to the 26. 7.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Been a lot of fun for the Seahawks. No fun for Philadelphia.
In the next 20 years, the world will grow by 1.5 billion people. Feeding this appetite for energy will take innovation, collaboration, and conservation. We've begun creating this new era of energy. Will you join us?
And now, more great moments on ESPN. The year was 2004. The San Antonio Spurs and the Los Angeles Lakers were locked in an NBA Conference semifinal. Tim Duncan scores a clutch point, only to be outdone by Derek Fisher. A celebration of sports memories from around the globe. Great moments on ESPN.
Join ESPN for coverage of the UEFA Champions League season on this match day 6. Rangers taking on Internacional. Inter won the first match in Milan 1-0. Check the time in your area of the world for this great UEFA Champions League match.
The running back with Alexander done for the night. And to the outside, out of bounds. He goes. Talking, John, last night about how Andy Reid was very instrumental in the Green Bay Packers drafting Matt Hasselbeck.
Yeah, Ron Wolf was the general manager of the Packers at that time, and Andy Reid was a quarterback coach, and Ron Wolf gave him a list of 18 quarterbacks, and he said the 18th name was Matt Hasselbeck, and he said it was in alphabetical order. And that's how they had him rated, and he went in and worked him out and was really impressed with him, not only, you know, on the field, but maybe even more in the classroom.
This is Morris. Of course, Matt.
So Andy Reid,
Don played professional football.
Yeah, right. And Andy Reid, you know, was, you know, the reason that Matt Hasselbeck, you know, went to Green Bay. And he said, Matt was saying that one of the things that he had him do was draw up his favorite play. And Matt said, you know, against what? And he said, just draw up your favorite play against anything. So he said, okay. He said, I drew up a play that I thought would be good against any coverage. And Andy kind of said, yeah, that's good. That's a good play. And then they kind of went from there and went out on the field. And Andy knew that this guy really had it all. I mean, he had the mind to be a quarterback, and then he had the other abilities to be a quarterback. And Matt Hasselbeck was saying that Andy Reid told him a story about Brett Favre, and Andy had asked Brett Favre to draw up his favorite pass play. And Brett Favre, as only Brett Favre would do, he drew up a hook and ladder.
It would figure either that or a pass play where he catches it, as he did on the first pass he ever completed in the NFL.
Well, that could have been the lateral part of it. You know, he would throw a hook, and then the hook guy would lateral to someone, and then the guy would lateral to him. That was probably the play.
Morris again. Hasselbeck's man Don, a tight end with